Software has changed the way that dental practices manage their business operations. Analytics can provide practices with the data they need to more efficiently manage their patients and their bottom line. Today we're speaking with Mike Baird, CEO of Henry Schein One, about the growing role that analytics are playing in today's practice management. Mike, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Great, wonderful. Well, first of all, everybody in the industry knows Henry Schein as a company, but Henry Schein One is still emerging and evolving, and a lot of people might not be familiar with it. So just to bring our audience on board, can you tell us about what sets Henry Schein One apart from the overall Henry Schein corporate structure?
Yeah, I would be happy to.
Mm-hmm.
So Henry Schein One has been around since 2018. It was a joint venture established between Henry Schein and Internet Brands. And the goal of it was to bring together the world's largest software and services company, specifically targeted the dental industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, we're very fortunate to have a myriad of fantastic dental brands in one house. And as we bring those together, our goal is to really create simplicity in dentistry through software. As we bring those solutions together, as we integrate them, we help a practice with obviously their practice management solutions, with their patient marketing and patient engagement, how they manage their revenue cycle. And ultimately, we think we provide a fantastic experience for the practice to make their lives easier. But that's what Henry Schein One is all about, is we are 100% a software company built to serve dental practices.
Okay, can you provide a bit more detail about some of the applications that software could provide to a dental office, whether it's at the front desk, whether it's managing clinical data? You know, it seems it can go into so many different directions. What are some of the priorities you see for software right now?
There are a number of things. You know, we'll talk about analytics, I think, as part of this discussion, but that's obviously a new area of focus.
Right.
I think there's always the standard things, right? You've got to manage your practice. You've got to have your patient data and all of your clinical data. But beyond that, I think one of the other areas that's very critical is what we call practice marketing. Mm-hmm. Everything from the way that you engage your patients to bring them into the practice, to make sure that they know about their appointments and to schedule them efficiently. Things like online booking to make it easy to bring in new customers that find you over the internet. Mm-hmm. It's having a very good revenue cycle management side of things, so that we process your claims in an efficient manner and make sure that you get the revenue that you need in your practice. In addition to analytics, it's things like what we would call demand generation. So helping you build a website to promote your practice, or to help you manage your reputation online. You know, just like any other industry, we're seeing that consumerism is sort of the new trend across dental, just like anywhere else. And consumers want to feel like they're in control of that experience, that they have connectivity with their dentist. And our goal is to make that simple through a wide variety of software solutions.
Okay, and it seems that over the past year, the pandemic has completely changed the way dental practices operate, whether it's using teledentistry just to consult with patients not on site, to, as the point you made about marketing, getting patients back into the office after the shutdown, and so many of them may have some reluctance based on fears of the infection. So how can software and analytics further capitalize on these strategies for improving care and bringing patients back into the office then?
It's a great question. I think one of the things that's very important is cloud access. Mm-hmm. So we have a number of cloud solutions. Many people are familiar with our Dentrix Ascend platform. And what we learned in the pandemic is you're not always going to be in your office to see your patients. You brought up teledentistry as an emerging trend. We have partners that we leverage at Henry Schein One to enable teledentistry solutions to our customers. I think there's also an effect of people being in their homes and not able to go out. We almost had a whole generation, a 6-month window, where practices were closed and people missed their recare windows and coming back into the office. And we almost need to have a way to reach out to them and get them back into the cadence of dental visits. And I think that's where our patient marketing solutions really shine. Mm-hmm. We can go back and look at people that are overdue for a visit. If we're If we've got open slots in our day as a provider, it's very easy to go find people that both have insurance benefit left to be used, and it's been a long time since they've been in the office, and match those up to fill the schedule out. So these are the kind of things that I think help practices be connected to their customers and get back to the new normal, whatever that may be.
Okay, and just overall, how analytics seem to be playing a growing role, not just in dentistry, but in healthcare across the board. So, what are some other ways that analytics are being used, and how do these specific methods translate over to dentistry then? In addition to just finding those empty slots for appointments and making sure those patients get the phone calls or the texts or the messages to come back in.
Yeah, I think we're seeing across all industries, in healthcare and otherwise, that data is the foundation for the way that we do business, and that's becoming increasingly true in dentistry.
Mhm.
What we call it analytics and business intelligence, right? These are vehicles for us to accelerate our business growth, to help practices analyze their own data to see what's happened in the past, what do I expect is going to happen in the future, and start to make informed decisions about how they can make little changes in their day-to-day practice to improve performance. So when we recently brought in Jarvis Analytics into the Henry Schein One portfolio, this makes it easy for practices and organizations of any size to use a variety of built-in and custom key performance indicators to identify the strengths and weaknesses of their practice, to understand patient behavior, to make data-driven decisions, and hopefully we do that in a relatively easy way with minimal training. And because it's a cloud solution, it's relatively easy to sign up and start using that right away.
Right.
But through those tools, we think practices can be more efficient and run better.
And what are some of those key performance indicators that practices should be keeping an eye on most of all then?
Yeah, it's a great question. There are hundreds of different metrics that dentists can
Mhm.
look at, and they may have their own preferences. There's a couple that I think are some of the key ones. So obviously, almost every dentist is looking at their profitability and their EBITDA. I think a lot of dentists like to track their new patient flow and see who's coming in. But I think another important one, as we talked about earlier, post-COVID, is patient retention. So looking at their reappointment rates and how well they're doing it, keeping patients in their practice. I would highlight though that every practice is different. While our Jarvis solution can help them automate a lot of these tools and metrics,
Mhm.
we have a thing called the practice potential module, which can measure case acceptance and patient retention, and actually go through and see which metrics are the most impactful for them. We generally coach practices to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 of these KPIs that they track every day.
Mhm.
We do some neat things. We have this thing called the daily huddle where a practice can get together every morning and review some of these key metrics and really set themselves up for success on the day. But ultimately, it comes down to that practice and the things that they're trying to improve. And we have a wide variety of KPIs they can choose from to drive that success.
Okay, a lot of this technology does sound like it could be overwhelming. Dentists go to school to be dentists, to learn about the mouth, not to manage big data, so to speak. So, what kind of training and educational opportunities are there for practices who want to get on board with this technology but just don't know where to start?
Well, you can always start with us. We're happy to
Of
help
course.
you come on board. But again, these are cloud solutions. So when you subscribe to them, you have access instantly. We build training videos and tutorials into the tools to help people learn how to use it relatively easily. Jarvis Analytics connects not only with the various Henry Schein One practice management systems, but I
Mhm.
think we're integrated with over 10 different practice management systems out there. So if you're using, EagleSoft or Denticon or other products, you can still use our Jarvis Analytics platform. And we've put a lot of time and effort into what we call UI UX, the user interface and user experience, to make it very simple for people to use. So, just like you use your iPhone and you have all these great apps that are really easy to work with, we've tried to have that similar experience where we can help you set that up and make it very easy to start to analyze your practice. What's great about these platforms is historically, it's not that dentists weren't looking at data before. They've always looked at data, but the
Mhm.
onus is on them. You've got to learn how to export it or write your own custom queries. You've got to be an Excel expert to go figure out how to analyze the data and hope your formulas are right and hopefully you're tracking it correctly. And if you want to do reports, you got to format it in the right way. Well, we take all that hassle out for you because we know what the most common reports are because we work with hundreds of practices, thousands of practices on setting up those reports. And so you get the benefit of learning from the thousands of practices that we serve and the analytics that they look at, all packaged in a nice, easy solution in our Jarvis Analytics platform.
Okay, you brought up a good point about the need for interoperability between different systems that are often coming from different manufacturers, different companies, and even different generations. Software and systems are always getting updated. Technology is always emerging. How do these analytic systems keep up with those changes when somebody comes along with something newer, faster, better, more powerful, and so on? How do you keep up with that kind of evolution?
Well, one of the beautiful things about a cloud-based platform like Jarvis is it's always being updated. So every week we're sending out a new update where we might add a new feature or a new button somewhere. We might add, 5 more KPIs you can look at or a new report. So, that's one of the benefits of our solutions is we're always adding more things to them. But specifically on the point of interoperability, this is a very important topic to us. As many are aware, Dentrix is the foundation for many practices, and it integrates with dozens and dozens of different modules and reporting tools and plugins, et cetera.
Mhm.
We have a program at Henry Schein called our Dentrix Developer Program, where we work with lots of other partners that make tool sets that in many cases compete with our own, but they plug in seamlessly into Dentrix and our other tools. And we help work with them to certify that data is transmitted securely and works very well. So together we make sure that as a dentist, you can use the wide variety of dental IT solutions, services, software, hardware, whatever it may be, to have a highly efficient practice. We've got over 40 Dentrix certified partners out there, and we keep building out that portfolio.
Mhm.
And as I said, we put a lot of work into making sure that our software doesn't only work well for you, but that it works well with other people's software as well.
Okay, and also scaling seems to be an issue. What are the differences between, say, a solo practice using this system versus a giant DSO with dozens or even hundreds of practices using this system? How do analytics manage those variations in the size of data that's out there?
It's a great question. One of the things that we loved about Jarvis Analytics, and one of the reasons that we wanted to purchase it, we've long had various reports and analytics built into Dentrix,
Mhm.
but Jarvis is specifically written to help DSOs look at their business. I've heard lots of people say that if you've met one DSO, you've met one DSO, right? They all run things a little bit differently. They have different analytics that they want to look at. And so not only do we have the building blocks for Jarvis to help a solo practice, but one of the neat things that we do is we make it sort of infinitely customizable for a DSO to decide what groupings of providers or practices or geographies to look at. And they can do this in real time to better inform the way that they run their variety of practices. And I think that skill set is particularly critical to a DSO's success. It's not enough to just run the same report 50 times or 100 times across a given practice, but being able to see how my Midwest geography is doing, or I want to look at these 6 doctors and compare their performance. That ability to customize the way that you look at it really helps drive the scale that you talked about for helping DSOs have success in their practices.
Okay, and just looking ahead now, it seems that, as you say, the technology is always being updated. You're always on top of new developments. But where do you see analytics moving ahead in the next 1 year, next 5 years, and even further into the future then? Where can the technology take dental practices?
Well, what we're excited about having analytics in our portfolio is looking for ways to not only drive the connectivity between our various Dentrix platforms and Jarvis, but the other solutions in our portfolio as well. So if you think about ways that if I can identify that I have multiple slots that are open in my calendar, and I can use analytics to go find not only patients that I haven't seen in a while, but maybe patients that have insurance left for the year. Maybe it's patients that need a particular procedure that's higher value to that practice, and really zero in on ways to optimize. We've got some of those solutions today, but you're going to see even more of that over the next year and making that highly integrated in the platform. As we go beyond that, I really get excited to think about ways in which artificial intelligence and machine learning can be used on our data. And so if you think of the 5-year view, how do we go through and look at the wide data set of claims that are happening and see if there are trends that we can identify on ways to ensure that we optimize our claims process and get maximize the credit that we deserve for our procedures. I think looking at things like, we have a huge repository of imaging that we do today. So imagine if we could use AI to go through and spot caries across millions of images, and maybe we could proactively identify cases where our Align invisible retainers could be applicable, and actually proactively identify that for a practice to expand their revenue. There's dozens of ideas like this on ways that analytics could continue to drive the success of that practice. And the beautiful thing is it's not just helping that practice, it's also helping patients get the care that they need.
Okay, well, thank you for that insight, then, and for sharing your experience and perspectives about analytics and their role in just the technological management of dental practices today. We look forward to hearing more from Henry Schein One about these innovations in the future.
Thank you, Richard. Great to be with you today.
You too. Thanks again. Have a great day.